Hey up, it's Steve from that old Yorkshire Geek, and we've got a special today. It's a UFO special, so let's get into the intro. There, I did a special UFO-based intro, just for today. Right, so as I said, it's a UFO special today. So I found some, recent UFO stories. There's one that's not recent, but it's about a UFO sighting a long time ago. But I'd not heard of it before. It's only a quick one. But before we start talking about UFOs, by the way, you might notice I've got my Mercury Rapids cap on. That's the original, from the original cover, if you can make it out. But anyway, let's plug Mercury Rapids again. You can't see it because my silly, green screen things decided not to show, decided to edit it out. Go on, show it. Are you going to... It don't want to show it, does it? It's stupid. Oh, well, whatever. Anyway, this is Mercury Rapids. Oh, right, hang on. If I hold it in front of me. Hold it in front of my face. Oh, there. There, can you see it now? Probably can't hear me, though. No, it's gone again. Anyway, it's there. And it's on, it's about UFOs. It's on Amazon. You can get it in paperback. You can get it on Kindle. It's a jolly wheeze. That's how I'd describe it. A jolly wheeze. Right, let's get on with this UFO news, shall we? So, I shall fire up my news page. And it's not there. Why ain't it there? Because I know why. Because we had a power cut earlier on. And my computer stopped. And, there we go. There we go. And obviously everything went off and it's lost all the settings. But it's back on now. It's back on. Right. Anyway, right, so as I said, it's all about UFOs. So there we go. NASA selects full force for probe into UFOs. We're placing a high priority on it. This is weird. There's a weird story in it. NASA is pushing ahead to recruit a panel of experts and publish a much-awaited report on unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs. That's the new name, the new term for them. They don't call them UFOs anymore. Well, official people don't, but everybody else does. I don't know why they've decided to call them unidentified aerial phenomena. So they can include like natural phenomena as well, isn't it? Not just flying objects, which suggests alien spacecraft or, manufactured spacecraft or flying devices. Anyway, all with a budget of up to $100,000. Well, that won't last very long, will it? 100, that's a drop in the ocean, isn't it? UAPs are observations of strange airborne objects and other things in the sky that cannot be immediately explained. Everyone's heard of the UFO, unidentified flying object. UAP is the term government officials prefer, and there's a link. As usual, all the links are in the description below. And don't forget, up there, like and subscribe, share the videos, hit the notification bell, drop a comment, and if you find yourself, you can't hear me if I say this, if you find yourself in the live chat, I mean, you might be watching it, a few minutes, you might join us while the live chat's on and rewind a bit, the live stream's on, should I say, and rewind a bit. And then listen to me saying that. So join the live chat in a few minutes when you catch up. Anyway, so do all that, subscribe and stuff. It would be really helpful, and that would be really helpful with the algorithm. It's supposed to show, show me video in more recommendations and stuff. So hopefully it will. Anyway, Uncle Sam has helped launch a renewed interest in UAPs, admitting its G-men and G-women have amassed a collection of evidence of the phenomena over the years. Not too many others. Some of the most intriguing recordings include declassified footage released by the US Department of Defense of pilots reporting mysterious entities that appear to be flying at breakneck speeds, although these claims are hotly disputed. NASA announced it was also going to conduct an independent study of its own earlier this year. Now, Daniel Evans, Assistant Deputy Associate Administrator for Research at NASA's Science Mission Directorate, SMD, said NASA is taking the project seriously. We're going full force, he said in a town hall meeting this week. Reported by Space.com. This is really important to us and we're placing a high priority on it. NASA is now in the process of finalising a panel of 15 to 17 experts to analyse and process evidence of UAPs. I wonder who these experts are going to be. I wonder if they really are experts. The information is expected to be released to the public after the 9-month-long study launches around October. So a 9-month study is costing $100,000. I suspect it's not going to be very in-depth. Not for $100,000. Panel members include some of the world's leading scientists, data practitioners, artificial intelligence practitioners, aerospace safety experts, all with a specific charge, which is to tell us how to apply the full focus of science and data to UAP, Evans said. The project is expected to cost no more than $100,000. I know what it's going to be. It's going to be a whitewash, isn't it? It's going to be another whitewash, another officialdom whitewash. That's all it's going to be. After 9 months, they'll say, well, we can't say this way or that way. It's all still, unexplained, and that's what they'll say. And they'll say, oh, we can't say for definite that it's, extraterrestrials, and we can't say for definite, it's a natural phenomenon. It's unknown, and we can't explain it yet. That's all they'll say. Officials will try to identify which events are natural. It may be possible, for example, that some of these strange aircraft are simply top-secret next-generation vehicles. There isn't much data to go on. NASA has previously said there was no evidence that these UAPs are signs of extraterrestrial intelligence. A slide from the SMD's town hall presentation shows NASA will not just be trying to sort through existing data, but we'll also be thinking about how best to collect data on UAPs in the future. Oh, there's the slide. It says, if I can zoom in a bit, will it let me? Oh, that's not good. Don't put it there. Oh, I don't. I thought that would have... Oh, no, that's visual search. I thought that would to zoom in on it. If I click that, will that zoom in on it? There we go. And then we see an August 3rd UAP coordination meeting between Honorary Ron Moultrie, Under Secretary of Defence for Intelligence and Security, and NASA Administrator Senator Bill Nelson. But he's chopped off there, you can't see him. Hang on, I'll move him over. There you go, that's Bill Nelson. Let's have a look. UAP Independent Study Key Points. On June 9th, 2022, NASA announced an independent study to examine unidentified aerial phenomena. The independent study team will be chaired by Dr. David Spergel, president of the Simons Foundation. Never heard of them. I'll have to look them up. The study will focus on identifying available data, how best to collect future data, and how NASA can use that data to move the scientific understanding of UAPs forward. SMD and the Aeronautics Research Mission Directorate, ARMD, or ARMD. That sounds a bit ominous, doesn't it? Is appointing members from across the scientific aeronautics and data analytics communities, ongoing consultation and coordination with Department of Defense and multiple congressional stakeholders. So there you go. Has that opened in another? It has another tab, isn't it? The Space Agency will also be working with the Department of Defense and members of Congress. Identifying these UFOs is of great interest to NASA and the DoD for national security, air safety and scientific research. NASA really is uniquely positioned to address UAP because we know how to use the tools of science and data to discern what might be happening out there in the skies, Evans said. And to be frank, no other agency is trusted as much by the public as us. I won't quite go that far. Anyway, let's look these up. Who is it? Simons Foundation. Let's look these up. Shall open another tab. Don't know why it don't go to Google. It should do, but it never does. Right, Simon's Foundation. Help of a good type, wouldn't it? Foundation. Oh, I put a blood. Oh, it's there. Right, let's have a look. Advancing research in basic science. Let's look them up on Wikipedia. We'll look their own page up. Right, it's a private foundation established in 1994 by Marilyn and Jim Simons with offices in New York City. It's a charity. Net assets of $4.3 billion, and it's a bloody charity. Christ. Makes grants in 4 program areas: mathematics and physical sciences, life sciences, autism research, that's interesting, and education and outreach. In 2016, the foundation launched the Flatiron Institute, a multidisciplinary academic research entity focused on computation. Right, so it's a charitable research association. Look at all this here. Let's go down anyway. Let's go down. Right. White House Brain Initiative Alliance membership. No, that's all it says, really, doesn't it? Right. So they're not to do with the New World Order, as far as we know. But you never know. I bet they are. I bet they are. Right, so that's that. So NASA's doing it's a small study in it, and it's going to be a whitewash. What is it? 9 months, $100,000. Nothing's going to come of it, is it? It's not a full force probe. They're talking out their asses. It's going to be another. We don't know one way or t'other. It's a waste of time, really. It's a waste of time. I mean, like the Air Force and all the other, armed services of America, the Air Force, the Army, all the others, the Navy, they do their own studies on UFOs and probably spend like 100 times as much, 100 times, cost, you know what I mean, spend 100 times as much on their own reports and studies. So this is nothing. It's a nothing story. People get excited about it, saying, "Oh, NASA's going to investigate UFOs." No, they're not. Right, we'll move on. After that, me being a bit of a Debbie Downer on NASA. Right, Calvin photograph. I've never heard of this one. World's clearest UFO picture found after 32 years. That's not it. Because I was looking at it thinking, really? That's not it, surely. And this says this photograph was taken by 2 hikers who remain unknown to this day on the hillside. So it's not this one. That's a representative image from Shutterstock. The actual image is further down. I've had a look. Right, a photograph touted as the world's clearest photo of a UFO is not. It might have been at the time, but it's not. No, it wasn't even at the time. But never mind. Anyway, has resurfaced more than 30 years after it was initially released, named the Calvin. Is it Calvin or Calvine? I don't know. I'll say Calvin. Photograph. The picture shows a diamond-shaped object flying around with another plane in the background. It does ring a bell. I might have seen a description of it, but I don't know if I've seen the picture itself. Anyway. UFOs, unidentified flying objects, have been the fodder for various theories related to extraterrestrial life and their interaction with humans on Earth, with multiple sightings alleged. Seldom has one found concrete or even clear evidence to support their claims. Now, a photograph touted as the world's clearest photo of a UFO has resurfaced more than 30 years after it was initially released. Named the Calvin photograph, the picture shows a diamond-shaped object flying around with another plane in the background. Well, it doesn't show it flying around, it just shows it in the air. It's not flying around, it could be hovering for all we know. The photo was unearthed by academic researcher and journalist Dr. David Clark, as per The Sun report. Yes, so is it Sun? And here he is, the world's clearest photo of a UFO, released after 30 years. And this is, I think this is a Twitter thing, isn't it? So there it is. There's the, it does ring a bell. I might have actually seen this before. Or I've seen similar ones, because I'm sure I've seen a similar UFO to that. It's got like a little tiny little tail section there. You can see me where my mouse pointer is? Yeah, and that's a plane in the background. But I don't know. It says there per the Sun report, and then down here it says mirror.co.uk. Which one is it? Because they're mortal enemies. Anyway, the photograph was taken by two hikers who remain unknown to this day on a hillside near Calvine, Scotland. They captured a giant angular object in the sky with another jet flying nearby. The photo, after being clicked, was submitted by the hikers to Scotland's Daily Record newspaper, after which it went to the Ministry of Defence. But did they describe... I don't know the details of this report, you see. They took a photo of it, but did they describe what it were doing? Was it hovering? Was it zipping around? What were it doing? Or was it just gliding across the sky? No idea. But the photo never got published or caught the public eye. The photo, rather than becoming a clear insight, became a myth until now. Dr. Clark managed to track down the photograph after much effort and found it with the former RAF press officer Craig Lindsay, who kept a copy of the original photograph. Lindsay agreed to pass on the photograph to Dr. Clark, who then submitted it to Sheffield Hallam University. The Calvine photograph, although an important piece in the UFO puzzle, is still not the answer to the mystery surrounding it. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration, we just said this, the full-fledged study. $100,000 9 months isn't a full-fledged study. Yeah, we've read that. So there we go, that's it. Oh, women have more sex partners than men. Oh, there we go. Quelle surprise. So there you go. Photo that's apparently never been seen before. So I haven't seen it because it's never been seen before. But I've seen a similar one with this little taily bit on the end. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's the clearest ever. Maybe it's the clearest one that hasn't been debunked. But even the Billy Meyer photographs haven't been debunked, have they? Well, they've been debunked, but they haven't been 100% proven to be fake. Even though I think they are, but there'll always be somebody that says it isn't. So there you go. Very interesting. If that were real, they'd be the clearest photos of UFOs ever, wouldn't they? Right, this is the old one. Yeah, UFO was spotted in Britain in 1742. So it's not just since Roswell. It's 1742. We've all watched Ancient Aliens. We know they've been here forever. The first UFO sighting in Britain was in the 18th century. And there's another representative UFO. Obviously, this isn't a photo taken in 1742. It's for pictorial reference only. Right, physician Cromwell Mortimer. Now that's a name, innit? Reported seeing the spacecraft over central London back in 1742 when George II was on the throne. Mortimer, Secretary of the Royal Society, saw the UFO above St James's Park as he was walking towards Westminster on December 16th at 8:40 p.m. and drew a diagram of the mystery object. I bet we don't see the bloody diagram in this article, do we? No, do we chuff? No, we just see a shit photo. Get me mad up. The scientist wrote, I saw a light arise from behind the trees and houses in the south by West Point. When it had risen to the height of about 20 degrees, it took a motion nearly parallel to the horizon and went over the houses. Mortimer added, its motion was so very slow that I had above half a minute in view and had time enough to contemplate its appearance fully. There you go. So, obviously, at that time, 1742 were even before the time of balloons, wasn't it? Because, 1783? The Montgolfier brothers, that were their first balloon, wasn't it? So it's before then. And obviously there were no planes or anything like that. So, what could it have been? It was a UFO, technically. There we go. Dr. Cromwell Mortimer. Very good. Very interesting. They could have shown the bloody diagram, though. Can I find it? Shall I look it up, Shall I look it up, see if I can find it? Cromwell Mortimer UFO. Right. We'll look on the Express. Is the Express going to show us a picture of it? Here's there. See, look there. Right, can we look at this picture? Open image in new tab. Doing it there. There we go. Can I zoom in on this now? There we go. Yes, I saw a light arrive from behind the houses in the south by West Point, by which I took B skyrocket. See, didn't say that in that other thing, did it? But when it had risen to the height, it's hard to make out this, of the trees, I presume that says, it took a motion nearly parallel to the horizon in this manner. Oh, and it's showing, it undulated along. Something the north by east point, over the houses. It seemed, it's chopped off is the edge there, isn't it? They've not done a very good job of scanning this document, have they? That I thought it passed over Queen Square, something park, crossed the canal, and I lost sight of it over something. I can't tell. What does that say? I don't know what that says. It was so very slow that I had it above view, and therefore had time enough to contemplate fully which was what is seen in the annexed figure. Oh, that's what it looked like. So it was like a glowy light thing. Oh, that's showing it. A is light flame turning backwards from the, something to it. B is a bright fire-like burning charcoal. So that's that bit. So a bright light at the front, and then it's all a bit reddish, I suppose. Burning charcoal. In an open case. So it actually saw, it didn't just say a bright light, it saw, it appears to be like some physical object. And C, all the C's, that's the frame, was like bands of iron. As D, a D might be down there that they've chopped off. Issued forth a train or flame. Oh, that might be D. Oh, that's D, isn't it? That's the. Oh, right. So it was like a metal object made of bands of iron with a light at the front, red in the middle, shooting a flame or train behind it, more bright at D, and growing gradually, something to be transparent, more than half its length, and about half a degree in diameter. I don't know what half a degree is. Is it the thumb? At arm's length, your thumb is a degree. Is that what it is? Something like that, isn't it? So it won't be very big. In diameter. And tail was about 1/8 of a degree in thickness. So there you go. So thank you, Express. Now we know. Silly bloody article before. This one, female first, trust the women to get it, wrong. The Express delivers. I'll put the link for the Express in the description. So I'm going to save that picture. No, I'll do it later. So there we go. So I find that really interesting. 1742, that was. A physical object seen over London, undulating across the sky. This is like 40-odd years before the first balloons were manned. I mean, I suppose it could have been, an unmanned balloon, Maybe they were experimenting, I don't know. But it was the Montgolfier brothers in France that did the first manned one, wasn't it? But it don't look like a balloon, does it? It looks, as I say, like a metal cage with lights in. It's very interesting, isn't it? That's very interesting. Right, next. Staffordshire man. Oh, God, I hate these things. websites are always asking you to click on something, aren't they? You know, to accept something or to, you know, sign in and no, go away. Just show me the page for God's sake. Anyway, Staffordshire man claims he's been abducted by aliens and says he has footage of UFOs. James Ford claims he was taken on a ship. Let's have a look. Video loading. How long is it going to take? Forever. We'll come back to it. A Staffordshire man claims he's caught footage of UFOs moving over the skies late at night. James Ford, 34, said the video was captured from his home in Wood Lane, Newcastle. Is that... oh no, Staffordshire, isn't it? I want to say Newcastle on Tyne. So there must be a Newcastle in Staffordshire. He says he caught the flashing objects on camera in March over neighbouring Woodcroft. And James also says he has previously been abducted by aliens and has had a conversation with them telepathically. Yeah, maybe he has. I'm not disputing it. He told Stoke-on-Trent Live, I'd say it's a UFO or UAP. It's some sort of craft. I don't know if it's an orb they've sent down from the craft. It's something and it knows I am filming it. It knew to fly past to be filmed. I was like, wow. Now, this is going to sound silly, but it's happened to me before. I sometimes like to go out and look at the stars when it's clear, and I take photographs of, a bit astrophotography. I'm not very good at it, but I do my best. And sometimes I've got like a laser pointer, and sometimes I point my laser or I flash it a couple of times, and I'll say something like, come on, show me something. And so like half of the time we'll say, or maybe a third of the time, something will happen within 10 seconds of me saying that. Like, a meteor will shoot across, or a satellite will pass over, or something will happen. So I'm not dissing him for saying that, because I think they do know. Don't ask me how. It's weird and wonderful and mysterious, but they do know. Anyway, when it was just a flashing light, there was nothing much to see, but then it flew past, and I still can't believe what I saw. Some people say it's a comet or asteroid, but they don't go up the street and block out street lights. No, they don't. I'm watching the video and thinking, what's happening? This is mind-blowing. I spoke telepathically to the grey alien named Abu, and I said, why have you blown my mind? You've just you've just ruined it there, mate. I'm sorry. You don't just throw that in the middle of a UFO sighting. You don't just throw in, I spoke telepathically to the pilot, by the way. It's called Abu. Because that's when, journalists think, oh, nutter. They do. Anyway, they said it's because I deserve to know the truth. I mean, it could be true for all I know, but, it smacks of, looniness. I'm sorry it does. But I'm not saying he's lying. James claims he was taken on a ship just days before he spotted the object. He added, I was on my bed at first, but then ended up on the ship. I was cowering and started looking around. There was someone else cowering, and one of these things walked in between us. It walked past me, got me, and took me into the cockpit. There were 3 of them. I was looking around and saw one next to me. It was 8 foot tall. Then I remember waking up back in my bed. I do believe in aliens. I think this conversation he's had with this reporter or whatever, I think they've chopped it up because it seems a bit disjointed, doesn't it? This story he's telling. Anyway, when I was a kid, there were 6 of us playing in the field, and something came right above us, and it had a light shining down. It looked like a helicopter, but there was no noise. We all ran to my friend's Nan's house. When I was a kid, I used to have these dreams and used to wake up with some sort of beep that got so intense. I'm sure it's all connected somehow. Is that it? No, that's it. See if the video's loaded. No, it hasn't. I'll try refreshing the page and see what that does. See if that loads the video. And in the meantime, I shall take a swig of my Pepsi Max. It's not going to load, is it? The New World Order's taken the video down. Won't let us see it. It won't let us see it. See, it's all a conspiracy, it is. And I'm not joking, it is. I mean, I'm knocking him down here, saying, he shouldn't have thrown that in. Where are we? It just says, I spoke telepathically to the grey alien named Abu. He just threw that in, didn't he? And then I'm knocking him for saying that. But like a minute before, I was admitting that I do think that they do know that when you're watching them. So whatever. Read into that what you will. It's not going to show us, is it? Right, so we'll move on. But it is an interesting story. I do find that interesting. He didn't have to go too far with the rest of his tale. But if it's important to him, then fair enough. I mean, it will be important to him if he thought he were abducted by aliens. But I'm sure there's more to the story. I think this has been abbreviated quite a bit. So I bet there's more to that. So if you're watching, James, I doubt it, but if you're watching, is it James? James Ford, get in touch, drop us a comment or send me a message, and we'll have a chat. We'll have a chat and get to the bottom of it, or get more information than what Birmingham Live or birminghammail.co.uk is giving us in this story. Anyway. No, it's not loading, is it? It's going to sit there forever. Right, so we'll move on. Coventry. So we're still in that rough area, but it's not showing us the page. It'll come on in a minute. Fingers crossed it'll come on. I'll tell you what, I'll refresh this page as well. See, it's not responding. I'll press wait. See, they're out to stop us. They're blocking. There we go. Coventry clubber spots UFO over city centre. And we've got a picture this time. There we go. Some sort of bright light with something there. I don't know. It could be anything really, couldn't it? But let's have a read. You'll see plenty of unusual sights on a night out in Coventry, but one reveller has perhaps seen the strangest of all. After spotting... Oh, excuse me. Oh, pardon me. Where did that come from? That's me drinking some bloody Pepsi Max in the middle of a stream. Where were we? But one reveller has perhaps seen the strangest of all after spotting an unidentified flying object hovering above the city centre. David John Rogers... There you go. Stop it with these sign-in things. David John Rogers was out dancing with his wife Philomena at the yard in the city centre this weekend. After enjoying themselves inside, they decided to take a breather. As they caught some fresh air outside... When was this, by the way? Oh, this weekend, so recently. As they caught some fresh air outside, the pair spotted a bright light appearing to hang in the sky. They told other clubbers and managed to get a pal to capture the object on camera. But what makes the story even stranger is David claims to have seen the same light days before after visiting a friend in Bedworth. He hopes sharing the strange tale will encourage others to come forward. Speaking to Coventry Live, David said, on Wednesday night, August 10th, Philomena and myself went to visit Sue, a friend of ours in Bedworth. It came time to go home, and as we were leaving, I jokingly said to Phil, watch out for the UFO. As we left, straight away I saw an orange or red light hovering very low in the sky. Sue had already gone back inside, and I quickly drew Phil's attention to the object. We stood for a few seconds looking at what we now consider a UFO of sorts. There were streaks of light emanating from all sides, and Phil saw a diamond-shaped object in the light. We turned to put a fan in the boot and intended to take photos of the UFO with our phones. As we looked back to see the UFO, it was gone, all in a matter of seconds. We scanned the whole night sky and horizon, and the light was nowhere to be seen. It had literally disappeared. And there's the full photo. You see it's over like some sort of awning. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I would say I was going to. Oh, it carries on. But before we read that, it could be argued that it could be something like Mars or Jupiter, or even a bright star, or even Venus if it's low enough. Venus, could have a reddish tint, I suppose, if the sky's a reddish hue. This is here. There's these white dots here. Is it a long exposure? These white dots. Something that's gone by. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, or it could just be a reflection. I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know what that is. This little thing off the side, like a little jet coming off it. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know. One way or t'other. I sound like a NASA report, don't I? I don't know one way or the other. Give me $100,000, thank you. Putting the odd experience to the back of their minds, they went about the rest of their week. A few days later, they put on their dancing shoes and went to the popular venue on Bull Yard. It was there they saw the object for the second time, this time managing to capture it on camera, as we've just seen. David said on Saturday night, August 13th, friends and myself went to the yard in the town centre. After a while on the dance floor, we decided to go outside for some fresh air. We sat immediately outside the door entrance. I think that's casually, not causally. I casually looked up at the night sky and couldn't quite believe what I was seeing. There, suspended in the sky, was the same orange-red light that both Phil and myself saw on Wednesday night. I quickly asked a friend, Pete, to take some pictures of the light with his phone and also to zoom in on the UFO. There were some strangers nearby, and I drew their attention to the UFO, and a man was pointing out what looked like a beam of light emanating from the side of the UFO. Skeptics will scoff and say the light is an aircraft, or maybe a shooting star. No, it's not that. But some will see the light as proof we are not alone in this universe. But either way, the truth is out there. And if this were a news report on the TV, they'd play the X-Files theme there, wouldn't they? They would, 100%. So, yeah, there you go. That's another interesting story. I mean, the fact that the previous sighting, he says it disappeared. I mean, if it's a planet or a star, they don't tend not to disappear, unless a cloud obscures them. But you'd notice that, wouldn't you? Say, oh, it was obscured by a cloud. So, yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know. I still don't want to know what there's these little bright, I don't know if you can make them out there, but there's these little dots. And there's some down here as well. I don't know what that is. Unless they're just reflections, they might have some lights or something down that we're not seeing. Because it's probably a cropped photo. They've probably zoomed in. So there might be reflections of some light, fairy lights or something. If it's a pub, that beer garden or whatever. But yeah, well, it's very interesting. So there you go. Another UFO story. And that were all I picked out. I know I said I picked a few out, but so we see if we can find some more. Right, UFO news, a little refresh, see if there's anything new. We just read that one. NASA's going full force, except it's not, is it? 9 months, 15 people, $100,000. That's not full force, is it? What's this? The scientific search for UFOs and UAPs virtual. I don't know what that is. Join the Mercer County Library System. I don't know what that is. I dare click on that. A review of Nope. That's about UFOs. I've not seen it. The new Jordan Peele film. I've heard it's not that good. It looks quite good from the trailers, but I've heard it's not that good. But I've not seen it, so I don't know. 18 UFO sighting stories. Shall we have a look at this one? There's another one there. UFO. US politician warns of UFO crash danger. What's that one? Let's have a look at that one. Let's have a look at that. Where is it? There we go. See, they use the same bloody picture, look, that they did for these female first. Using the same picture in all the UFO stories. I don't know. US Congressman Tim Burchett has urged investigators to step up their probe into unexplained UFO sightings as he fears that a plane could soon be involved in a tragic accident with a spacecraft. NASA has launched an investigation into UFO sightings, but the Tennessee politician says that progress hasn't been fast enough, as only one of more than 100 reported sightings since 2004 has been explained. He said plenty of military pilots have reported UFO encounters that have no logical explanation. By the way, that's an interesting statistic, isn't it? Only one of more than 100 reported sightings since 2004 has been explained. That's what, less than 1% has been explained. Some of them have warned it was only a matter of time before an aircraft got into a mid-air collision with an unexplained object. Yet despite these warnings and reports, can you see that? Yep. The first standardised reporting wasn't established until 2019. Our government has been surprisingly quiet about the topic for many decades, despite the many reports. And there we go. They like the quick stories, just female first, don't they? So yeah, that's another interesting thing. I don't think there's a danger of a UFO, if it is an alien spacecraft, crashing into an aeroplane, because I don't think they would. They'd avoid the aeroplane. There's more a chance of an aeroplane crashing into a UFO, isn't there? But I don't think. I think there's more of a chance of a plane being taken out by falling debris from a satellite or something entering the atmosphere, or a rocket part or something, than a UFO crashing into one. But there we go. As we read these, I'll add these to the list in the description. We're going to look at this one, won't we? 18 UFO sighting stories. Let's have a look at this one. I hope they're good uns. From BuzzFeed, 18 people who saw UFOs. Oh, for God's sake. Agree and exit. Who saw UFOs and can't truly explain what they saw to this day. Right, let's have a look then. Right, number one. While there weren't any stories about alien encounters, there were lots of stories about UFOs and UAPs. Right, top voted and best stories. Right, number one. I was 12-ish. This was in the mid-90s. By the way, I saw a UFO when I was... how old will I have been? It'll have been round about 1980-ish. So I'll have been like 13. I walking home from school. It must have been in winter because it was dark. And I saw this light, and it was motionless in the sky, and then it suddenly started accelerating. It didn't take off suddenly, pew, didn't do that. But it sort of like accelerated slowly at first, and it got quicker and quicker, and then sort of like disappeared behind some houses, then they couldn't see it anymore. So that's my UFO sighting. It was a solid white light. Anyway, I was 12-ish. This was in the mid-90s. I was visiting my aunt in the countryside, and I'm there just chilling in the living room with my cousins, and my father rushes in. Yo, there's a flying saucer in the sky. Yo. None of us believe him, so he just grabs me and drags me outside. Out in the street, my mom, my aunt, and all my neighbours are out and pointing at the sky. There was a light identical to a very bright star, but moving ridiculous fast and doing some crazy movements and sharp turns. I watched it for a few minutes and got bored and went back inside. See, got bored seeing an alien spacecraft buzzing the sky. That was from Die231. Got bored and went back inside. Hey, number two. When I was in a homeless shelter in Holbrook, Arizona, I presume a lot of these are going to be in America, I saw a UFO over the I-40 highway. I was just sitting there smoking a cigarette with one of my good friends. I saw a trail of sparks going across the sky. I looked a bit closer, and it was literally what you see in the books, a saucer with a cockpit on top. I wasn't the only one who saw it, too. My buddy ran out inside and told the others at the shelter, and they all saw the same thing. So I knew I wasn't going crazy. It stopped over the I-40 for a minute or two and just disappeared. Holbrook is a weird-ass place, and that wasn't the only weird encounter I had there either. So there's more to that story, unless it means it's not necessarily about UFOs. That was from He Number One Void Puppy. Oh, how do they think up these names? I don't know. Let me have a drink. My throat's getting a bit hoarse, all this talking. Right, I'll probably burp in a minute. Fair warning. Number 3, I was driving to Las Vegas and had given myself an extra 2 hours for my flight. I remember a bright light behind me and was annoyed. Next second, I know it's an hour later, and I'm 30 miles in the wrong direction. Ooh. I turned around and drove back, could barely keep my eyes open, and barely had time to park and fly. It was so weird. There you go, a bit of missing time there. Lost an hour and 30 miles in the wrong direction. Very interesting. That's from Zealous Ideal Degree 4. And there's a representation of a UFO over a highway. I'd love something like that to happen. If I'm just driving out, at night or whenever, on a lonely country road, and for something like that to happen. I said that, but, probably wouldn't afterwards. But anyway, number 4. I saw several UFOs on Highway 70 when I lived southern New Mexico. We all saw them. There were 10 or 20 cars parked along the side of the highway watching. There was even a state trooper parked in front of us. It was late spring 1993, and I was with my best friend driving to see a movie. We were juniors in high school. Flying around, doing zigzags, turning at perfect 90-degree angle, then flying in formation, about 6 or 7 bright discs. Oh, pardon me, I told you, burp. And in the blink of an eye, they scatter away in every direction. I'll never forget that day, says Shrugfield. There's some interesting stories here. Pity there's no videos or pictures or photos, but interesting stories. Number 5, back in 2018, I was stargazing in our backyard. Everything was great, and I saw a lot of stars using my telescope, when out of nowhere a red dot in the sky suddenly appeared. I observed it for a few seconds, and it flew away faster than any man-made aircraft. I told it to my classmates, and they made fun of me, saying that I was high. Says Shea 2006. In 2013-ish, I was on a road trip with my stepdad. He was a truck driver, and he went from Cincinnati to California to Florida, and Florida to Cincinnati. We were driving through New Mexico in the daytime when my stepdad tells me to look in the sky. 3 orbs that looked like the floaters appeared in the sky attached to a triangle. The middle part of the triangle was almost invisible, but you could see a slight outline. This UFO/UAP flew over the interstate. I don't know why these are not bold. Flew over the interstate for about 30 more seconds after we noticed it, and then it blinked out of existence. I'm not sure if it was extraterrestrial. More likely than not, it was some sort of advanced military aircraft. Either way, I can't tell you exactly what I saw, except that it was weird. It says the Falcor. Or Falcor the Dragon in Neverending Story. Might have been. Number 7. My son and I saw a UFO outside his bedroom window during the day for 15 minutes. It was too far away to get decent footage with the lame digital zoom on our phones. How convenient. But it stayed stationary above the clouds and then disappeared. It was a really windy day too. We never tell anyone because who's really going to believe it? He and I talk about it often. We always jokingly say to each other, keep watching the skies. From Erie, Arizona. All right. Keep watching the skies. Keep watching the skies. That's how he'll have said it, isn't it? Number 8. I was around 9 or 10 and I woke up in the middle of the night to get a drink of water. While looking out the window, I saw what looked to be a slow-moving shooting star. Then, in a completely different direction, it zoomed off past the horizon. Who knows what it could have been, but my headcanon is that it was a UFO. Well, if you don't know what it was and it was in the sky, it was a UFO. Because you don't know what it was. The cello player. Wish I could play cello, or violin, or guitar. I've got a violin, I've got a guitar, and I can't play either of them. I'm too lazy to learn. Number 9. I was laying in my bed looking out the window and saw a light floating above a nearby city that was tucked into the mountains. The city was tucked into the mountains, or the light was. Anyway. It then zoomed away at a speed that is just simply impossible with human technology. It lit up the entire city and mountainside when it left. I was frozen for a minute, just shocked that I had witnessed it. The speed and light were just otherworldly. No doubt in my mind what I saw. Aliens. That was from Narcos. Number 10. My mom used to work opening shift at a bakery, so she would have to be there by 5 a.m. That meant she would wake us up at 4 a.m. and have us to our grandmother's by 4:30 a.m. One morning I remember very distinctly that it was still dark out, and we were just driving on our way on a residential city street. But up in the sky, close to the horizon, there were 3 lights in a triangular shape. The odd thing was they were moving all zigzag and crazy in the sky. My mum and all my brothers watched this happen. It wasn't a reflection of something else in the glass of the car. This was 3 distinct lights in the shape of a triangle moving left, right, but also diagonally. We watched them for a few minutes, and then they just darted out of the sky. I lived in central New York at the time, and this would have been in the early 90s, so definitely unexplained. I'm not a ghost believer, and in general, I'm an atheist skeptic about most things, but I cannot explain what we all saw. I should ask my older brother if he remembers this. It sounds simple, but gives me goosebumps to think about, because we actually saw this and it made no logical sense. It says, cycle addict. And there's a, I don't know, what does that say there? It's not a real photo. If it says M Production, it probably is stock photo of a triangular light in the sky. 11. About a year ago, I was walking to the store with my daughter. As I was looking around, appreciating the scenery, I saw a large car-sized bright orange orb hovering right above one of the houses in my neighbourhood. I watched for a second and noticed it was slowly floating to the right. I quickly pulled out my phone to take a video. When I started the video, the light got brighter and then seemed to shrink into nothingness. It was absolutely silent. I checked the video after and there was nothing there. I think about it frequently. Definitely the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Says D.N. Yol Wank. I'm not laughing. Number 12. One time, I think it was 2006-ish, my dad called me to come outside. He was standing on the deck with a pair of binoculars. He pointed at something and gave me the binoculars, and I looked at what he pointed at. It's hard to explain. It looked like a spinning gyroscope. It was a sphere with rings spinning around each other like a gyroscope. See? Ezekiel's wheel. That's what that was. It was a sphere with rings spinning. I've just said that. It was a sphere with rings spinning around each other like a gyroscope, with neon orange and green colours. It was stationary in the sky, not moving. Not a chance it was a drone. I've never seen anything like it again. It was far away, easy to miss if you were not standing outside staring at the sky. It says Snowfreak 2507. But yeah, that just reminds me of Ezekiel's wheel. You know, in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1 in the Bible, the Old Testament. He sees, what he calls an object that were wheels within wheels and stuff like that. And that had orange colours and green colours in it, didn't it? As well as brass and all that. So there you go. That's Eric von Daniken. That's where I learned all this stuff from. In search of ancient gods and chariots of the gods and gold of the gods and all these others. And ancient aliens, obviously. Number 13. My ex and I were in the car in 2011, driving through town, and we saw 3 dots in the sky that were slowly rotating as it was slowly moving through the sky. Then it just went from slowly moving to speeding away with a quick trace of light behind it, and it was gone. There's no way that any man-made craft could have went from going slow to speeding out of sight so quickly like that. A bit like what I just described, what I saw in about 1980-ish when I was a kid. It started off hovering there and then sort of started accelerating, but soon it was zipping off and then I lost sight of it. That was White Oak Wolf. Cool name. Number 14. I don't know if it was a UFO, but it was something strange. Well, technically it was a UFO, if you don't know what it was. My dad and I were outside on the deck simply looking at the night sky. It was a slightly starry night. Slightly. But some stars were flashing red, green, blue, gold colours. They also moved around a bit. Not stars then. But nothing we could claim as a UFO. Well, yeah, I think he's referring here to, he's thinking of UFO as alien spacecraft, but it's an unidentified flying object. It's unidentified, it's in the sky, it's an object, you don't know what it is, it's a UFO. It was just weird. Then we looked at our driveway and see this blue-white light moving towards the stairs. As it moved, it would flash like a strobe light. It also moved kind of fast, but didn't make any noise. Dad and I were obviously scared AF. So we scrambled into the house and closed the door. Once the door was closed, we didn't hear or see anything else. We also didn't go back outside that night. Haven't seen it since, and I'm slightly glad for that. We don't know what, if it was sentient, it wanted. From Ninja Brick. That's an interesting story. See, they saw things in the sky, and then that ended up being an object heading towards them and making them run in the house. There you go. What are we up to? 14. Number 15, nearly there. I remember once when I was a kid in western Pennsylvania, I saw off in the distance this strange silvery object slowly descending from the sky. It seemed to be shaped like an acorn or something. Well, that's what was it? My brain stopped working. 1965. The Nazi bell, I think it was anyway. Crashed Kecksburg, the Kecksburg object. That was shaped like an acorn, wasn't it? Anyway, and it just kept getting lower until I couldn't see it past the trees in the distance. When was this, by the way? I don't say. Past the trees in the distance, it didn't have any contrail, so I don't know if it was an aircraft or something. It was moving way too slow to be a falling piece of debris or meteorite, and it had clearly had a metallic sheen. From Jerry the Cactus. You read all this, and then they have these weird names, don't they? So yeah, well, that might be if it were a kid. I don't know how old he is, but that was 1965. The Kecksburg incident. And that was described as acorn-shaped or bell-shaped or whatever. 16. Lived out in the country on a farm, heard a strange noise one night, and all of us at home went out and saw a huge disc-like object with flashing, rotating lights over a neighbouring farm. It just hovered there for like 2 minutes, then zoomed away super fast. My hair stood on end and I couldn't sleep that night. I haven't actually slept well since that night. It was the most creeped out I've been. From Snazzy Susie Q. Yeah, that's interesting. I'd be super excited if I saw it like that, but I suppose it's quite disturbing if it's, you're not expecting it. Number 17. This is a long one. In 2007, we were returning one evening from visiting my mother. We live in a very hilly, thickly forested area of Washington State. That's over on the west coast of America, on the Pacific coast. We were in our minivan with my husband driving. I was in the front passenger seat and our 8-year-old daughter was seated behind my husband. As we crested a hill less than a mile from home, I saw a large red blinking light just above the treetops near our house. I became angry and voiced my concern that a cell tower must have been installed. I lost sight of it as we continued down the twisting road, but kept searching for it to determine its exact location. As we came closer to our house, I spotted it out of my side window. It was not a cell tower, it was a UFO. I told my husband to stop, which he did, in the lane we were in. He and my daughter could not see it from their side of the vehicle because of heavy tree cover. I rolled down my window to be sure what I was seeing. It was a huge triangle-shaped craft, very still and quiet. It was just above the treetops, maybe 300 feet or so in elevation. The bottom of it was all I could see. It was at least 60 feet in length on each equal side. The centre had one large red pulsating light. Each of the 3 corners had smaller, steady lights that changed colours. I found myself totally fascinated by what I was seeing, told my husband and daughter it was a UFO, and suddenly all of its lights went out. I thought to myself, oh no, I can't see it now, and as if it heard my thoughts, see, we were on about this earlier on, it was suddenly washed in a soft, indirect lighting with no obvious source. I could then see the gunmetal grey colour of it, and that there was a rib of raised metal from each corner light to the centre one. I was almost ready to get out for a better look when my husband broke the spell and asked if we should pull off the road and park to avoid a collision if a vehicle should come along. I suddenly became very fearful for the safety of our child and urged him to drive the 500 yards to our house, which he did. The first thing I did when we arrived home was to check for missing time, and thank God we didn't have that problem. It all happened so fast. I was the only one in the van to see it, and although my husband believes me, I don't think he understands how large and close it was. From Eddie Allan Poe. Yeah. So you might think this person knows their UFO laws, that think about missing time, but you've got to remember, a lot of people know the basics of the UFO phenomenon because it's everywhere in science fiction and the X-Files and all that in it now. So, but that's an interesting story. That is very interesting. And finally, when I was number 18, oh, and it says I'm final. When I was 5 to 7 years old, can't remember how old I was, I remember seeing the Phoenix Lights, which you saw in my intro video right at the end. I remember seeing the Phoenix Lights and not really understanding why everyone around me was freaking out. It was just lights. But that's about as crazy as it gets for me, though. Bad but learning. And there's an image of the Phoenix Lights. I mean, to be honest, these might have been flares that were dropped by another aircraft, but there were other sightings that same night that probably weren't flares. Because people saw structured craft flying over, a big black V-shaped craft. And even the then governor of Arizona admitted to seeing it. So there you go. And there you go. I could, yeah. So that's that. So we'll leave it there. I've been waffling on for an hour about UFOs. So there were 18 interesting stories. People's descriptions of what they've seen. And it's very interesting. So as I said, the links are in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that stuff. But you can, follow the links and read them at your leisure. Right. So we'll leave it there. So I just thought I'd do a UFO special because I'm into UFOs. As I said before, I've written for a couple of UFO magazines, particularly UFO Data. That's, the one I'm most proud of. That was a great magazine, as brief as it was, but I did enjoy. I did enjoy working with Russ and Mick. It was very good. Anyway, and Sasha, if you're out there, Sasha, hey up. And we had a good time. And we had some good conferences as well with some great people from all over the world coming and talking. And it was jolly good fun and exciting and interesting. But anyway, that's enough about my past. Don't forget to buy Mercury Rapids. Still not showing it, is it? Look. Put it over this side. There you no. My book's invisible. Because is it the Ring of Power that's making it invisible? Might be. Anyway, it's on Amazon. Search for it. Mercury Rapids. Right, we'll leave it there. So, my next news thing, I'll be back to geeky stuff, films and TV and all that. But I'm sure I'll do some more UFO news in the future because I do find this stuff still interesting. My interest is starting to be rekindled a little bit. I don't know why. Maybe it's the aliens. Maybe it's this little fella here that's influencing me. So anyway, so we'll leave it there. So wherever you are in the universe, look after each other. And until next time, I'll see thee.